to get in here and share screen so that you guys can see what I'm doing. And I'm also really quickly, before I share the screen, I'm getting the link for the roster. So for those that have been in my classes before, just so you know, this is going to be, you've got to copy and paste this link. It's going into the feed right now. This is how we'll fill out the roster. We will be doing, so I will be giving 4 keywords throughout the class. You're going to need to put in the keywords here. This is actually 2, Jen, if you can let me know. This one is actually a 2-hour class. Do you need me to try to squish it to a 1-hour, or is everybody okay?
Go ahead with the 2 hours.
Okay.
I'm sure everyone would love to see. I just had 1 hour on my agenda.
Perfect. I think next week's is a 1-hour, but we switched around one of the dates, and so I think it might have maybe messed something up. So
yeah, that could have been what happened.
So we will rock and roll with this. It is a 2-hour for Google. The form is in there, so I will be giving out 4 keywords. So in order for you to get credit, you've got to be able to fill out the 4 keywords and have 3 out of 4 correct. I'll be very distinct about what keywords they are. And we do have to monitor for video to be on, as well as comments to be on as in here too. So be engaged, be interacting. This Google class, Google is one of those things we're going to go over a few different platforms within Google, and it's kind of related to drinking out of a fire hose. It's a lot of information, and it can be kind of confusing, but we'll break it down as easy as possible. Make sure your emails are on the forms, because I will send out the slides after class so that you guys can go back through the slides, especially on this class. It's helpful to be able to review the information when you need it. So we'll kick into that. So that being said, I am going into share my screen right now, and I need to be able to, let's get out of this and into Google. Okay, so, and just to kick off, for those that don't know me, I've done several classes for you guys, but I'm Shantell Reitze. I'm with Integrated Title Services. I've been with them just a little over 2 years now. My background is actually marketing and advertising, and especially with Google, one of the places I worked in the last little bit was Utah Digital Services and agency number 6, which is a digital advertising company. And I also own my own business. And so everything that I teach you guys is stuff that I've actually implemented and done myself over the years to help me grow. So I understand all of the craziness of trying to wear all the hats with your business. So I totally understand that. And this is geared towards teaching you how to do things yourself. So what we're going to do is kick into this. And because we'll talk, Google kind of falls into the social media category. Just so you know, you cannot pay me to like, share, or comment on your posts. I cannot pay you to like, share, comment on your posts, but I'm happy to do so. So if there's things that you need help promoting, or if you have questions, please let me know. I'm happy to help you get things out there. And my goal is to help you guys as agents to grow your business. So I just want to be an asset to you however I can. So that being said, let's kick in. So here's a few of the things we're going to go over today. We're going to talk about Google My Business. Think with Google, Google Analytics, Google AdWords, Google Trends, and we'll also talk about Google Streak, which is a CRM platform. So we'll get into all of this stuff today. It's pretty fun, but like I said, it's like drinking from a fire hose, so just put on your seatbelts and we'll rock and roll. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is talk about Google My Business. We're going to walk through setting up a Google My Business page for you. Because there's a lot of companies out there that will do this for you, and most of them charge anywhere from like $500 to $1,000. So if you have your Google My Business already set up, that's great. I do want to walk you through the process in getting there. So if you want to go and follow along, you're welcome to, but like I said, we're going to send out the slides so you can get back in there at any time. So the easiest way to get in here, so Google My Business is the portal that lists your business on Google Maps so that you're searchable. And it's also where you can control your business listing, reviews, and there's all sorts of tools within Google My Business that are insanely beneficial and no one knows they're there. So I don't know are any of you already set up on Google My Business by chance? You can pipe in here.
No.
No? Okay. Well, then that would be great.
I'm set up, but it's just basic.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Well, let's walk through getting set up now. So if you want to do this and follow along with me, hold on, I'm opening the chat box right now, maybe. Is it gonna let me? I hate when it doesn't let me open the chat box. Hold on one second. Let me get chat open here. Okay, hopefully that'll stay. We'll see. Okay, so the easiest way to get here is to go to, just go to the Google search bar and type in Google My Business. Once you do that, it'll probably pull up with an ad or some sort of organic listing. You just want something that says like Google Business. Once you click there, it's going to direct you to a page that looks like this. It shouldn't, in theory. We never know. So once you're here, this page, we're going to go over to this top right corner where you'll see this Manage Now. You want to click that button. Okay, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to back out of this and I'm going to try to walk you through, whoops, just backed me up a page. I'm going to try to walk you through the setting up as far as I can without actually creating another business for myself. So we'll see how far I get. Can you guys see my active screen here? Somebody give me a thumbs up. Yeah, okay, cool. All right, so we're just gonna come in here. Again, I'm clicking this business profile. It's taking me to this Manage Now, and I'm gonna click there. Now, I already have things set up, so this is one extra step I will have that you guys won't have. I'm gonna add a single location, but once you guys click Manage Now, it should take you to something that looks like this. Now, the one thing I do wanna caution you, this is run by Gmail. If you have more than one Gmail account, this is going to be assigned to a specific email. So if you want to use your personal email versus a business email, you've got to sign in through that email when you're here. Otherwise, it's going to list it under a different email, right? So like I have work emails and personal emails and whatever email you're logged in this top right corner over here is what is going to be used and assigned to this account. So make sure that that's whatever you want it to be right now. The first thing you're going to do is come here and type in your business name. So I'm just going to pretend that I'm an agent. So I'm going to do my name and just type realtor or whatever you want. If you have a specific business name that you use on Facebook, Instagram, your website, whatever that is, you can put here. And I just like to keep it really simple. Once you have the name typed in, you have to bring it down and hover and click this create a business with this name. So then it's going to pull you to this page here. Once you have this done, you just need to click next. So then you're going to find your category. There's a bunch of real estate things here. So I'm just going to type real estate and you'll see it pulls up this whole list of things. Most of you are going to do just real estate agents, totally fine. But there's also like real estate consultant. There's a bunch of different things. Just start with something simple. You can add a couple more later if there's more than one that fits your description. So just type real estate agents and then we're going to click next. Okay, from here, this is what's going to get you to show up on maps. So you do want to click yes, and you're going to type in the address for Presidio, or whatever your brokerage is, right? I would not recommend your home address unless you want that home address to show up on maps. I would put in your physical address. Once you do that, likely you're going to find that it's going to pull up and say there's already something under this address. It's going to say something probably about Presidio, but that's not going to be you. So you want to just type in, I'm just going to use an address that I know has other businesses in it so I can see if it's going to pull it up so you can see. Oh, it did not. Okay, so once you get the address, do not click the Presidio one. Let's see, Karen said, I just have a Google profile for my business. I'm assuming that this is different. It depends on what kind of profile, Karen. I'd have to figure out. If you already have a Google My Business, whoops, I'm just trying to move the chat bar. Over here on the top where it just has the Google My Business logo, if you click there, if you already have a profile, it's going to take you to that main page where you can just click it. So hopefully that shows you the correct thing. Now, once you're here to this, do I also serve customers outside this location? You want to click yes. Okay. Once you select that, then you can come here, and I think it's easiest to type by county. Most of the agents up here in this area do like what I call the big six. So you've got like Salt Lake, obviously, Utah County. You can do Davis, Weber, Summit, and Tooele. Those are kind of the big six. If you're down in Utah County, you might want to skew that a little bit further south. And I think you guys have some agents even down in St. George, yeah? So you could do like whatever's applicable to you, right? If you're in Wasatch, you know, or I can't remember what the St. George one is, but whatever works for you and what areas you want to do. So for me, I'm just going to come in here and type, you'll see Salt Lake County. I'm going to select it. Then if I'm going to do, let's say I'm at Summit County, there's Summit County, Utah, I'm going to select it, right? So I can just, it's faster to do it by county than it is to do it by city or zip code. So whatever is applicable to you as an agent and where you want to serve those areas, type those in and get those loaded. And you'll see there are some suggested service areas. I can click those if I want, but for me, like you'll see Harriman, Copperton, Bluffdale, those are all already going to be included in Salt Lake County. So it's a little bit faster that way. Once you have those, whoops, I accidentally took off Summit County, but that's okay. Once I've got those, then I'm going to click next. And here is where I'm going to enter some information. So I can put my phone number in here. Whatever phone number I want clients to contact me in. And here, if I have a website, I can enter my website. If you don't have one, or if you have one getting built, whatever it is, you can always come back to this later. Just select, I don't need a website, and then move on from here. So you can always update this, okay? Once you have this, you're gonna click next, and it's going to click, you want to be able to finish and manage this listing. I cannot click this part. Otherwise it'll create another business page for me, but you'll want to click finish. It's going to do one of two things for you. It's either going to text you a code, which is great, or it will mail one to the company and have you fill out your name. Make sure you put your name on there so that when the Google cards come, whoever's getting those at the front can distribute them appropriately. That one does take a little bit longer, and it's kind of just up to the Google gods at the minute as to whether, like, some of you might get a text one, some of you might get a mail one. So just kind of keep that in mind. So from there, I'm going to get back into these slides and we will walk you through how to use this platform. So it's going to take you a few days to get full access to all of the things that are in here. So yours might not look exactly like this at the first, but once you have a basic profile, this is kind of what it's going to look like. It'll be pretty blank and brand new, so it's not going to have a ton of information in there, okay? And we're going to walk through each of the parts of this Google profile so that you can use this correctly. As soon as you get that code and it's fully functioning, you'll be able to use this. And you can also book ads now straight from here. Google used to have a completely separate ads platform. They've now integrated it in so you can access ads directly from this Google My Business platform. So it makes it a lot easier, okay? Yeah, Kim said I had to wait for a code to be sent in the mail. I hate that, Kim, and I'm sorry. I wish I knew like what the magic trick was for getting the text code. It's just up.
I have a question.
Yeah, Amy, what's up?
Okay, so I did this and they gave me the text code, but it still says it's pending.
It takes like 3 days for it to fully activate, but that's great that you got the code. So you should have access, like full access in a couple days, but it just takes them, it's like, here's your code, but we still kind of have to process it and get it all set up. So
Okay,
cool.
I don't know. I did it a few weeks ago, but it's okay. I'll just talk to you.
A few weeks ago and it still says it's pending?
Just I can show you, but
no, I've seen that happen a couple times. Sometimes it gets like stuck, and we might have to try to reach out to Google to get it cleared.
okay.
So we'll look at that.
All right.
Okay, so let's kick into this and start going through the profile. One thing I do want to caution you on with the address, you'll see on this page, I've got 2 listed for the same exact thing. So you'll see the only difference here is this south indicator between the 2 locations. So you've got to be really consistent with your address. So whatever's on your website, your Facebook, all of those things need to be consistent, because even those little discrepancies, Google will pull up and think it's a new listing. It's the dumbest thing. And so that's why I wanted to show you this, is because it does have like those weird minor errors. So just be cautious that you're using the same address everywhere. Okay, now we'll get in here. So once you have an active account, this is more of what it's going to look like when you've got, you know, performance things you can look at. It's going to start to give you some information and build out for you, which is great. So we're going to go down this menu over here on the left side. We're going to work through this menu and tell you all of the features that are within this Google platform and how to use them, okay? So obviously this is your home page, pretty basic, but it kind of just showcases everything that you've got here, which is awesome. Okay, so then the second one down on the list is posts. This is one of the things that is within the Google platform that no one knows about, that is probably one of the most beneficial things you can do for your business. These posts act a lot like SEO on a website. So for those that don't know, SEO on a website is where you can get organic search by the content that's on your site and how you properly do your meta tags and the data and things like that. So this is how your website gets posted on and found on Google organically when people search for things. So if you're smart about how you do your posts, you can really use them to your benefit, and it works like having a website and having like a quote unquote blog on your website without necessarily having to do so. So what I want you to kind of see here is you'll see there's 4 different options. There's actually 5 right now because I think there's a COVID one, a COVID's update. But I highly recommend that you stick Google into your social media rotation as far as posts. And I'm going to go through a few specific things on how to use this to your advantage. So with those 4, we're going to disregard the COVID post for right now. But with these options, you've got what's new, events, offers, and products. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to use each of these. So your what's new is going to be a place where you can do posts. And I recommend you do posts that are geared around topics that people are going to Google. And you want to use quote unquote keywords in these posts as many times as you can. So for example, this one that I'm showing you here it's an older one, but the reason that I screenshotted this one, obviously you can see this is July 3rd of 2018. At this point, one of my biggest competitors was closing their doors. This is for my fitness studio. And so I did an entire post around my competitors, and I used that name as many times as I could in this post organically, because you don't want it to sound too stupid. But when somebody Googled my competitor's name, it then pulled up my listing. So when someone was looking for them, maybe unaware that they closed, they would then see my business and start clicking through my information. Let's see, Jennifer said, when you're posting to social media, add Google to your list of places to post: Instagram, Facebook, Google. Yes, thank you, 100%. So I just keep this in my social media rotation, and when I plan out my social media calendar, Google is one of the things that I add in there, and I try to post to Google. Now these posts stay live on Google for a week, so you have to be pretty up on updating it at least once a week. So even if you can do one post per week on Google, that will help you tremendously. So that is actually your first keyword for class. So keyword number 1 is post. Did everybody get that? Keyword number 1 is post. Okay. Now, the next thing you can do here is you'll see this events tab. Here you can post your open houses, you can post your client appreciation events, you can do whatever you've got, community events going on, use that and post those here. Very, very beneficial. You've also got offers. So if you have something like, let's say it is November and you are running a post for veterans in support of Veterans Day, like maybe it's a, I don't know, free home warranty or something like that for any veterans that list or that buy a house with you during the month of November, whatever. You can post those offers here. So that's a great way to go. And then products, I recommend you use products and post your listings, okay? Whatever you've got, get those listings out there. This is a great place for you to feature those things, and when people Google and you can use some of those keywords, your listings are going to pull up in Google, which is fantastic, okay? So that's how I would recommend those. Does anyone have questions on the posts? No? Okay, so it's really simple. Basically, you just pull it up. You come in, you can write your post, whatever you want to say, include all of those keywords. You can add photos to these, you can add videos, all of that stuff. So add this to your social media rotation. Okay. I'm going to type in here too. We're going to go keyword number 1. So everybody's got that. Okay. The next thing on the list down from post, you're going to see info. This is where you can come in, and if you have a brand new listing, this is where you can add your office hours. You can come in and put your website if you get a website. Brandon said, do the keywords within Google have to be highlighted in a certain way like you have to do with SEO? No, they don't. Google just likes you to use their platform, and so it automatically does it, and it just pulls those words for you, which is really great. But you should see some really good boosts within Google just by simply writing those posts and using them. You don't have to tag them in any way. Okay, so here at the top of this, you're going to see I have like 3 different categories up here. I think you can have up to 5, I don't remember, but this is where you can come in and add some additional things. So like we said, there's things in there that you might fit more than one category when you were first setting up your page. I think there's like real estate consultant, or maybe there's like investment properties. I cannot remember what some of them are, but I would recommend coming in here and adding a few different categories. You can also come in and do services within each of the categories. So you can come and put description things in there, custom services, whatever you want under each of the categories. And that also helps Google to sort through your business and increase your SEO when people are searching, because you're putting more relevant information in there in regards to what you do. If you ever move, so those of you that I know are with Presidio, I know you're never ever leaving, but I know there are some outside agents on here that may be thinking about coming over to Presidio. If you ever change your brokerage or need to update your address, this is where you would add that address in here, okay? If you move yourself, like let's say you're an agent in Salt Lake and you're moving down to St. George and you want to switch your service areas, you can do that here, very easy. Hours of operation, you can come in and set this, like you'll see even Monday I have separate hours like 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., 9:15 to 10:45. Like you can completely customize your hours and put those in here. So just when I would suggest whatever you want to use when you want to take phone calls, right? So if just, you don't have to be open 24/7. I think most of the agents I help set up, we do something usually like 8 a.m. to maybe 8:30 or 9 p.m. You can put yourself as closed on Sundays or Mondays or whatever. If you want to give yourself a day off, totally fine. And right below that, there's also a specialty hours where if there's holidays that you want to be, or if you need to go on vacation or whatever, you can update those there and just put in specific dates maybe that you'll be closed. So just make sure you've got that up and going. And that's where, this is also the section you can add your website. If you don't have a website now and you want to come back in and add it later, all of that is done here. And then you'll see off to the right, it tells me your business is live on Google search and view on maps. So anytime somebody searches for my business name, it's going to pull up in either place. Okay. Now, you shouldn't need to like this advanced information, store codes, labels and stuff. That stuff's not relevant to you guys. So that should be pretty much everything you need in that main business section. Does anybody have any questions on this info section? Okay, cool. I love it. Hopefully that just means I'm doing a really good job explaining. But I know everyone's been really quiet today, so we'll do whatever's in the water, we don't know. Okay. Jennifer feels my pain. I know she's laughing.
For sure.
Just some of those days where people are just not super, you know, up on things. Okay.
Fire hose, that's what it is.
It's just something in the water. It's a quiet bug in the water today. Oh, Lisa said, where do we add our website? Let me get in, hang on, let me get out of this main screen. I'm gonna go into my business account here and I'm gonna show you, let me just switch into my other one, we'll see. Let me get back in here. Sorry, sometimes with the screenshots, I know it's can be kind of weird. Let's see. Okay. Okay, so let me get over into here under info. And when we scroll down past the hours, you'll see down here, I've got a website. There should be an option for you here to add a website. There's also something that's pretty cool. This works for me because we have booking software, but if any of you have booking software, you can actually sync it in here that people can link in with you. Let's see. Let's see. Wendy says, I got a screen that said the listing has already been claimed. Do I start with new information? Did it default you, Wendell, to, was it Presidio's main one? Because usually that's only the way it's been claimed. And maybe I can help you with that, but it might have been if you selected Presidio's page instead of don't do this, it may have put you into Presidio's page.
Okay.
Usually,
I'll go back. I'll go back and try and start it again later
okay,
on.
yeah, because that's
Yeah.
probably what happened, and just try to start it over. But when that Presidio pops up, because a lot of people are using that same address, it defaults it into Presidio. So you have to say, no, I'm not doing Presidio, and then it should
yeah.
allow you to continue through.
I think that's what I did.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks.
You bet. Okay, so this is where it's going to show you, like you'll be able to just put products in here. And then under this service, you'll see here, I've got my services listed where it has all the different things underneath. So that's where that's going to all update. You'll be able to update any of that. And then just some other things like wheelchair accessibility, some info, like it'll walk you through all of that stuff, okay? So that's where you should be able to get that website. So Lisa, were you able to find that from there? I hope.
Yeah, I got it. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Okay, so let's get back into this. I'm just going to leave this up in case we need. Actually, before we do that, I want to show you live on the Insights because they've updated this a little bit. So what this is, well, no, I'll just go back in here. That's fine. Okay, we'll just go with our screenshots. Okay, so what this is going to show us, once your listing has been up and running for, I think it'll start generating after a couple of weeks, but it might be up to a month. Google's going to give you some really great information here on your Google page and how people are finding you. So the thing that I love about this, the first thing that pulls up if I click on Insights is this search info. So what this is telling me is how people searched for my business and how they found me. So I love to have a really healthy blue section, because to me that indicates that I'm doing my job in some of those things, as far as like having the information in the SEO that shows me like these are the people that found me doing basic category searches, right? So maybe they typed in something like fitness centers in Sandy or whatever. So I want to have a really healthy blue section, because that indicates to me that I'm doing my job with my profile and filling out all the things, and people are finding me organically, okay? So this green section is where people are basically just typing in my business name. They already knew about me and they were strictly searching for my name, okay? So for me, I love that more people are finding me with the blue, because that's probably people that were not likely my clients before. So I hope that makes sense. And then this branded one is going to be a little bit different for everyone, because this is customers that found your listing searching for a brand related to your business. So that if you have an affiliate partner, or maybe like maybe you partner with a mortgage person and they found your link from there, or you know, something to that effect. So usually it's that can really vary just depending on how your business is set up. So just kind of keep that in mind. But a really healthy blue section is what we want, okay? Once you're there, hang on, this is where I'm not sure if I have the next. No, so I do want to go back, hang on. This is where I wanted to show you. So they've added a lot of information to this. So here you'll see this queries. So this is all of the search terms that people used where they found my business. So this is really helpful when you're getting ready to start an ads campaign, because it's going to help give you some clues as to how many people found you, okay? So just kind of scrolling through and seeing what people searched for when they found my business is very helpful. Then it's going to tell me if people found me on a listing search or if they were looking on Google Maps. So just kind of interesting to see that data there. And then it's going to tell me what actions people are taking when they get to my site. So this is telling me like how many people visited my website, how many people requested directions, and how many called me. So just really great information to see how people are using my site. And then it'll tell me, it says it's loading data. That should pull up a map and tell me where people were at. Let me see if I switch it to a week. I don't know why, but usually this will tell me where people are at when they ask for directions. So this is a good indication for me that I can see where my clients are coming from and make sure that I'm serving them in the best way. So that's kind of a bummer that won't pull up right now. And then it'll map out my phone calls, like whatever phone calls I had during the week. Like I can switch it to time of day, day of the week. I can do it by 1 month, 1 week, 1 quarter, and it'll break down for me what days people called me, which is awesome. And then it'll tell me my most popular time is around 9 a.m. on Thursday, but this is going to tell me when I'm getting the most traction on my site. So I can check it. If I switch it to Monday, it's going to show me my peak times. Now this makes sense because this is when we're open, you know, for classes. We're kind of closed in this middle of the day section, but it does show me my peaks, and I can check this for any day of the week and see what my peak days and times are, right? Which is really cool. So I love this info, super helpful. And then this is going to tell me photo views. So we'll get into photos in a minute, but you are able to put photos up on your site, and also your clients can put photos up on your site, which is really cool. But this tells me how many times my photos were viewed versus businesses like me. So I can see like, okay, I had 1,700 views, other businesses like me had 9,700 views. which doesn't worry me too much because I've got a lot of, like, obviously I'm competing with fitness places, so I compete against a lot of those big box gyms, but I like to just track and see what my photos, what kind of traction my photos are gonna get. So once I'm here, it'll also show me like quantity of photos, like it tells me how many people looked at my photos versus my customers' photos. So this is really helpful too. So I can see like, okay, my business is outperforming like businesses like me in that respect as well. So just some really great information there that just tells me kind of what's going on with my personal listing, okay? So does anybody have any questions in that insight section? No? Okay. All right, so let's get back into here. Okay, so once we go through insights, let's talk about reviews. So reviews are so important, and how you interact with the people that leave you reviews, all of that stuff is so massively important. I don't know how many of you have paid much attention, but Facebook has really changed their reviews profile. It's not like, now it's just like, do you recommend this place or not? It's kind of like a yes or no. It doesn't give the star ratings like it used to, which is kind of a bummer. So Google is really the place for reviews. And I would say, I believe the current statistics are something like 88% of consumers trust online reviews as much as a personal recommendation. So if you don't have a strategy for building your Google reviews, I highly suggest that you start to work one into your procedures. One tip that I like to give is, just ask for it at the closing table. Because there's always those times when it's just you and your client, like the escrow officer leaves to go make copies or whatever it may be, where you've got some one-on-one time. That is a great place to just say, hey, I know this has been a great process for you. I'm really trying to build up my Google page. I would love it if you would leave me a Google review real fast while we're waiting here, right? Like super simple, very easy. And they're most likely to do it then, because I know a lot of people will wait until like they're moved in or whatever, but then at that point they're so busy that it gets neglected a lot, or they just forget, like they would love to, but it's just not top priority. So I think doing it at the closing table is a great place to do it, but you want to make sure that you space them out. Don't go out after this class and say, oh, I've got to get reviews. I'm going to recruit like 25 people and have them leave me a review today. Like, that's a red flag to Google. They'll actually take down your reviews if you do that. So they just want to see, let's see, is there a way to send them a quick link that goes straight to where they can leave a review? Yes. So you can Google your listing and pull it up and then send them the link to your Google listing, and it has the review tab right there. So you just have to go to your listing and open it up. And that way you can just send them that link, but I would just do it at the closing table so that it gets done and it's there. Yelp is another one you could do, but Yelp is not a huge thing in Utah. Most of us don't like it or use it unless it's restaurants, so I don't usually worry about it. So for realtors, this is really the best place to go. And you can send them that link, or you can just have them look your business up right there, and it's really quick and easy. So either way. Now let's talk about reviews for a second, because reviews are a funny little thing. And I'm sure that like we all go through these things where we get these random people that are super frustrated, that are, whatever it may be. Bad reviews happen, right? Let's just say that. And sometimes we have no control over it. I mean, I had one time that a gal tried to tell me she got athlete's foot from my studio, and I was like, we don't have showers, we don't have carpets. Like, I'm really sorry that happened. And anyway, long story short, she didn't even end up having athlete's foot, but she still left us this bad review. It was a stupid thing. If you get a bad review, respond to it, okay? Make sure you respond. I respond to all of my reviews but especially the bad ones. Clients or potential people are not going to be worried if you have a bad review, as long as they can see that you are vested as a company and you're taking the time to respond to that review, right? So I just replied to her review and just said, I'm really sorry that you've had that experience. Like we said, we're not going to pay for your doctor's bills because you didn't get it from us, but we're really sorry and we want to work with you on this, blah, 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 right? So then people, if they come on, they see that I care as a company and I'm not just neglecting it. Where it's a problem is where there's no response from the company and people will go on and see those reviews and see that there's no response, and that's where you get the turnoff. Let's see, Donnelly also said, do you get notified when reviews come in, or do you need to intentionally check for them? That you get notified. So you will get an email when you get a review that says, hey, you've got a review. You can reply even straight from your email. But I always because there's always things that slip through the cracks sometimes, or maybe I don't see the email come through. So I do come in and check for them. I'm in my Google My Business page at least once a week. So I just make it a habit to get in there and check and make sure I've got all my reviews replied to. And when you pull up your reviews, you'll see you can sort through them versus replied and haven't replied. So you can just click on the haven't replied and pull it up and just you can see right there. So if you're already in your Google business page regularly, which you should be, it's an easy thing to add in. So hopefully that helps. But yeah, this is where you'll monitor for those. You can take care of all of that here. Does anybody have questions on reviews before we move on? Any other questions? Donnelly, thanks for your input there.
I have one.
Okay.
Which this might be because it's pending, but it says this feature is not available for this listing.
Yeah, that's because you're pending.
Okay.
Once it opens up all the way, then that should open up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You bet. Okay.
So I have something.
Oh yeah.
So I set up the account a long time ago, and it's been pending this whole time because it says you need to have a review first. And so I've sent out the review link to people, but for some reason it doesn't allow them to go in and review the business.
Is your whole account say pending like Amy's is, or is the rest of your account active?
I don't know.
Okay. Maybe I'll send out the link again too for you guys to schedule time with me, and maybe we can get in and just kind of, when we have that scheduled time, we can look at it and see what's going on and figure out how to get it taken care of.
Cool.
Okay. Okay, cool. All right. So the next one down is messaging. This is not one that I use because I don't need the messaging, but this is a great one that you guys can use. It's an actual app that you can add in where people can message you directly through your listing, which is awesome. You can share information, you can get their contact. So this is a really great platform that I recommend you guys can hop on and connect, and it's free. So I would definitely get in and check this and see if that's something you can do. But it's really great if somebody's interacting on your thing and they can instantly message you, and it's almost like that instant chat where you can then take control of the situation and work them through your sales funnel faster, right? And that's one thing that we all struggle with is people coming to our sites and they want to interact with us, but there's always that disconnect and we wonder, are they going to come back? Are they not? You just have no control over that stuff. So this messages is a great thing to do. So I would recommend you can install that and mess around with it. It's fantastic. So let's go to photos. So under photos, you can actually upload your own photos, and you'll see I have highlighted here this by customer because your customers can actually upload photos when they check in with you. Which is a fantastic thing. And if they use maps, it'll prompt them to throw a photo up when they get there. And that's where these get some traction. But there's a ton of options here. So you'll see there's ones by owner. You can do 360s. You can do videos, interiors, exteriors, photos of you at work. Just so many options. I'll get in and show you, because I put a bunch of photos up the other day for me. But you'll see like here, when I go into my photos, once you've got, it's going to prompt you to put up your own logo. It'll prompt you for a cover photo, just like social media. So you'll see cover photo, logo, and then it's going to show me, like, I put a bunch of photos up like 3 weeks ago, but it's going to start tracking for me and showing me how many photos or how many views my photos have gotten. And then I get reports on that too, right? So you'll see like some of them, this one got 110, 104, right? They're all just kind of different. But some really fun things that you can do to showcase, like this is a great way for you to showcase your listings. You can showcase your office, events, like whatever you want to do. When your listings have more photos, you get way more interaction from your clients. So, I mean, you'll see here, overview by owner. I can come in here and see like customers. So this is events we did here where customers uploaded photos and tagged us, and they went into our stock here, which is great. I don't have any 360s except for one. You can do, there's so many things you can do. At work, you can do team and identity. I'm not really sure what the identity is, but there's tons of different options. So please, please, please get in. Oh, Esther said, sorry, I missed this a second ago. When you tell people to leave a review, do you just give them the name of the business, like me, Esther Shepherd Realty? Yeah, like whatever you created in that account as your business name, that's what you would want to give them to find you. And you can go in and do that. So, and when you pull it up, it's easy to do on the phone. Like when you search a listing and pull it up, you can actually just click share and send them straight to the listing. It's really easy, super, super easy.
Google
Okay.
My Business has an app, and you can go into the app and send a link via email or text to your clients
Yes.
for them to go in.
Yeah, right.
leave a
Yeah, there
review.
is an app for Google My Business, and it's so easy. Thank you, Ben. I forgot to mention that. That you can use on your phone and send the link straight from there. It's so, so, so easy. So any way you want to do it. Let's see. Lisa said, would you set up your business name, the same name as your website name? 100%. I absolutely would. And that's going to keep it consistent. So you want to try to keep that consistency between your business name, your Facebook name, your Google name, like all of that needs to be as consistent as possible. Otherwise, you run that risk of getting multiple profiles created by people sharing different things. So I absolutely would do that. Okay. Now, bookings here, this is one, we're not going to get too far into that. If you have booking software and you want people to book time with you, they can absolutely do that here. It's a great way to go. You guys may not use it as much, but you know, I use it all the time. People can book classes through me. Okay, so before we move into Google Streak, let me kick back one slide. Does anybody have any questions on this Google My Business profile?
Okay, I have another question.
Okay, you're fine.
So when you said that your customers tagged you, how do they tag you on Google?
Usually
like
they're checking
Instagram.
in, like if they use Maps and Drive to Me, it'll prompt them when, like, have you ever had that when you've like used an app to get somewhere and then it says, hey, are you checking in here? Or do you want to add a photo? Like it'll prompt you to do it. So it just kind of is random. One thing I do want to show you guys here though is the new integration for ads. So on that menu, if you just scroll down a little bit further, you'll see now that there's this create an ad. So we'll get into the ads platform a little bit later, but I just wanted to show you now it's directly integrated, and that's where you can get there. It used to be that you had to go a completely separate place, but it'll take you straight in right to where you were and set up your ads, which is great. Okay, so we'll get into ads in a minute. For right now, if nobody has any other questions in the Google My Business, then we will kick into the next section, which is Google Streak. Okay, all right. Google Streak is a CRM platform, and it is free, and it is fantastic. So I know all the brokerages are kind of different, and to be honest, I'm not sure if Presidio has a CRM that they set you up with as an agent, or if you're all responsible for your own. So I'm not going to get too heavy into this, but we'll just go brief overview. So if you don't have a CRM and you use Gmail, so that's the other thing, you have to have a Gmail to use Streak. This is a fantastic free one. Donnelly says, how secure is it? It's all through your Gmail, so as far as I know, it's pretty secure, and it's all your database and is own, like all the names and everything is in control of you, which has been fantastic. I've really loved it. I think it's really great. So I'm going to walk through just some basics on setting it up and how to use it. We're not going to get too in depth with it, but you know, we'll kick into it and see. So one thing I do recommend is that you brand yourself with your own domain email. It looks a lot more professional when you can have something like, you know, Shantell at whatever realestate.com or whatever. So it's really easy. You can go on and purchase a domain name. It's like 10 to 15 bucks a year. Do not buy the email service with your domain name. You want to set it up under G Suite. The basic plan is like $6 a month. It's really easy, and that's what, but you don't have to have this to do Google Streak, but it looks very professional if you do, okay? So that's just the caveat there. So, you know, if you set it up with GoDaddy, whatever, this will allow you to integrate here and get your own domain name, which I think is worth the money, okay? Once you have that, you want to go into your Gmail and you can download Google Streak. So you just basically open up a search tab, go to basically streak.com, press the download button. Once it's installed, you press go to Gmail, and this is going to open up your Gmail account. Okay, once you have that, then you're going to see this new added little feature in your Gmail where it says pipeline and sales. That is Google Streak working in your Gmail. So you'll be able to set up your own pipelines and work people through that setup, which is awesome. So once you have that, this is going to
Is it,
through.
sorry, is it the same as add to Chrome? It doesn't have download.
Yeah, yeah, you want to add it to
It's the
Chrome, sorry.
same.
Yeah.
Okay.
Under your pipelines, you basically select the plus sign. It'll pull up a temple window. There is a real estate one selling under templates that you can use. And once you have selected that, then you can create a tab on the bottom right corner, and you now kind of have your real estate pipeline, and you can customize it, which is great. So this is a basic one, and then you can go through and customize the whole thing. So once you want to go in and customize it, you'll see it opens up. So you've got like new, coming soon. You can change active listing, offers in, and you can move people through your pipeline so that you can see where people are at. The other thing I love about this is you can select groups and do like a group email. You can do, I mean, there's so many different things. You can set up drip campaigns to get in front of your people. All of that stuff you can do within here. And the free version does pretty much everything. The only time I think you need the paid version is if you're maybe managing a real estate team and you have multiple agents and things like that, you would want to go to the paid version versus the free version. So just kind of keep that in mind. Yeah, and you can totally customize all of that, which is super great. So any questions on Streak before we go to Think with Google? No? Okay, so your second keyword is pipeline. So throw that second keyword in here. I'm going to throw it in the group. So everybody's got it. Okay. All right. So that's kind of a brief overview of Google Streak, which I would recommend going and checking out. It's really great. Okay. So Think with Google is something most people have never even heard about, but and maybe this is the marketing geek in me, but I love this. And there's one other one we'll talk about towards the end too, but this is where I go to find like industry insights, articles. There's like so much information in here. It's crazy. You can get case studies, infographics. I mean, they constantly are loading this site with useful content that you can use to help you grow your business. There's also a collection of like creative ad campaigns in here. If you're like trying to figure out what you want to run ads on, you can get in here and search it. I mean, it's just crazy. So I'm going to show you a couple of screenshots from within here, just to kind of show you all the things. But I mean, guys, it is just so full of information. So if you're ever struggling with content for your website, for your Google page, for your social media, like this is such a great place to come and just find really awesome things you can use to help you with content. Because I know that's one place that we all tend to struggle is what to post, right? What do we have? I mean, like this 3 unexpected reasons baby boomers are turning to YouTube, right? Like just crazy stuff that there is in here that you can dive into. So once you get in here, I mean, you can look at marketing resources, clicking like monetization, there's advertising. I mean, guys, this has so much information, it's crazy. So like I clicked in the monetization here and you'll see like there's different things, why video creators need to keep it real with their audiences, how to get the most out of programmatic reservations. I mean, so much information here. It's really like I can totally geek out on it. But you can get like shopping insights, consumer barometers, market finders. You can test your website and see how fast your web pages load. I mean, just like so much stuff in here. It's crazy, crazy, crazy. So that's just a fun thing that I like to add in and show you is available. Okay, so we're gonna kick into Google AdWords. So this is typically where people have the most questions and there gets to be the most confusion. So we're gonna kick into this. Again, please keep it interactive. If you have any questions at all, like just don't be afraid to ask because I know this gets really confusing. So like I said, from the Google My Business page, I showed you where to go into AdWords. That's how you get in there and you can start running your campaigns. Now, the first time you do a campaign, Google will like basically walk you through and make it a super easy process. Like you can put in your category, it'll help you generate keywords that it thinks are gonna work, and it'll make it really easy for you. The stuff we're gonna go into is if you wanna customize that list and you want really fine-tuned control over your keywords. We'll go into what different keywords mean. The other thing that I think is really important here, if you're going to hire out your keywords campaign, which I highly suggest doing, they're really kind of a pain to manage, but also there's so much competition out there on people running these campaigns that they don't charge a ton to do it. So to me, it's worth the money to have somebody just manage it for me. Wendell said, I had no idea Google had all these platforms. However, it does not surprise me. I know, and this is only the tip of the iceberg. Google has so many things. So anyway, I know, I totally geek out on it.
I have a question.
Okay.
So when I go to click on the Google Ads, it says you don't have any Google Ad accounts, and it asks if you want to create a new one. So I can click
Yes.
New Google Ads account or switch Google account.
You probably want to create a new one because you've probably
Okay.
not done it before. Kim said, who do I hire to manage? Let me make a note, Kim, and when I send out the slides, I'll give you guys some contact info on a couple of people that I have that have run my Google stuff in the past. But there's so many companies out there. You just kind of have to be watchful. Some companies will require like minimum ad spend. Oh, Jennifer said we have an in-house manager too. We will be announcing soon. That's awesome news. Hello, fantastic.
What was that CRM name again?
Streak, S-T-R-E-A-K. Jennifer, that's fantastic news. So that's very cool. Do you want me to send out contacts, or would you rather just, I'm assuming you want to just rather refer them to your in-house manager? Yes?
Yeah, we'll do that. Our agents are gonna love it. I hate to give away the surprise right now, but yeah, we're working so hard to bring everything to here. So
that's so awesome. Like way awesome. You guys don't even know how lucky you are. So I won't worry about sending that out. That's fantastic. That's the first agency I've ever seen that's doing that for their agents. So kudos Kudos
We want to be the
Priscilla.
best. We want our agents to never ever think there's a better brokerage than us.
Right? I love it. Okay, so just stay tuned for the new in-house manager. But this will be really good for you guys to understand how AdWords works. So when this in-house manager comes on board with you guys, you'll be able to work really hands-on with them and understand how keywords work and how to use them so that you guys can get the most out of your campaigns. So that'll be fantastic. And Jen, I would love when you get that set up to come in and meet with that person too. And we can, you know, sift that. I mean, anyway, I would just love to come in and meet with them so I can help you guys.
Yeah, we'd love to have you in there, Shantell.
Okay.
That'd be awesome.
Okay, that would be great.
Thanks.
Kim said, how do I get to Google Ads? So again, Kim, the easiest way is once you have that Google business profile set up, just scroll down the menu. And once it's activated, there will be an ads link there. Other than that, you can go, if you go to just a Google search bar and just type in Google AdWords, it should pull up some sort of link to get you here as well. Okay, so you can do either or. So you don't have to have a Google My Business page to do it. It's just easier there. Okay. All right. So let's talk about the types of keywords. So this screenshot here, I want to show you down here on the bottom left. These are the types, match types that help you control your searches that trigger your ads. So there are so many intricate little ways that this works, and we're going to talk about each of them, okay? So the first one you'll see, keyword equals broad match. So you'll know there's nothing there but just keyword. So what that means is if I go to Google and let's say my keyword is Utah real estate, okay? We're just going to throw that out there. If I type something in, so years ago when we used to go to Google, we would type in the search bar like just a very small little snippet, right? Like I might literally just go in and type in Utah real estate and call it good, right? But now we ask like full questions, right? Like we type full sentences in there. So I might go in now and say, where in Utah is the hottest place for real estate? Okay, so because Utah and real estate are both in that sentence, they could even be in a different order. Like it might say real estate in Utah, right? Like it doesn't even have to be in the same order. So when it's just Utah real estate in your keywords and there's nothing else with it, it is looking for only those words within anywhere in that query that they type in. They don't have to be in the same order. They don't even have to be related. Like it could be completely random, okay? So that's what a broad match is, that it's not specific at all. They're just looking for those words to be in that query. The keyword with the quotation marks, that is what's called a phrase match. So that means that it's going to be looking for the words Utah real estate to be together in that order, but it doesn't necessarily have to be just that. Like it could be anywhere in the sentence, okay? Now, exact match, if I put brackets on it, that means it's like if I did Utah real estate, that means I would have to go to that search engine and type only Utah real estate, nothing else. And that's how my ad would pull up. So when you're creating these keywords, the list, oftentimes you're going to be using variations on the same keywords, and you want to put it in all three ways. Does that make sense to everyone? Or maybe you don't want to put it on in all three ways. If something in the broad match is completely irrelevant, you may only want to do the phrase match or the exact match. Does that make sense? Yes? Okay, I'm getting some nods. Good. Okay. All right. So once you're in here and creating an ad, and you guys, if you have this ads manager, are not going to need to worry too much about this, but you have to create an ad group before you create the ad. And this is where I say, like, the Google Ads campaign, if you're diving into the customization of it, can be very confusing, which is why it's worth hiring someone to do it for you, okay? So you have to create ad groups before you create your ad. So you'll want to come in and do the ad groups, and then you'll come in and it's going to pull this up for you where you can start to work in your keywords. So now Google has built in over here, you see on the right, this keyword ideas. We're going to talk about how to use this here in a second, but I love now that they finally have built it into the ad group thing. So as you're working on a list, you can use this keyword generator to help you while you're in the process. It used to be in a completely different place and you'd have to go there to find it, which is ridiculous. But now it's built in, which is fantastic. So this is going to help you build that list, okay? So this is a little bit about the keyword planner, which is now built in, which I love. So this is a free tool for you, and it's kind of like a workshop for building your new network campaigns. You can use it to search for keywords, get a list of keywords that might be beneficial. You can research keywords, so you can find those keywords to add, or you can do terms based on what's relevant to what you're doing. You can also get historical statistics and traffic forecasts. So the reason that this is important is when, for those of you that don't know how Google works, it's on what's called a cost per click, okay? So when you search for something, you don't necessarily pay for that if somebody doesn't click on your ad, but you only pay if people click on it, which is great. But what happens is you can really drive, because it's all done on an instantaneous bidding process, it can really drive the costs up on certain keywords. So we'll talk about how to mitigate that in a minute. But this is going to give you historical statistics and traffic forecasts, so you can see if it's a really heavily used word, you're probably going to pay more for it. And we'll talk about how to build those in just a minute. So just kind of keep that in mind, but it can forecast things also like predicted clicks, estimated conversions. I mean, it's really cool tool. So just kind of keep that in mind. And again, remember, don't stress. You're going to get all these slides because I know you're looking at this like vomit of words and it's really overwhelming. So don't worry. Let's see. Wendell said, what's new? Is there an expiration on the ad staying up? So you can set, when you set up your ad, you can actually set the time frame on it. So you can do it so it's ongoing and never expires, or you can have it run for a month or whatever. I always recommend starting out small and seeing how it goes and making adjustments before you ramp up and do something ongoing, right? I always love to fine tune those things and start out a little bit. And then as you grow your company, you can add more spend to it, right? And if that's working for you, then you can allocate more money there. So did that answer your question, Wendell? Is that what you meant? Okay, cool. Okay. All right, let's kick into the next one. Here is a little thing on how to help you search for new keywords. So when you sign into your Google Ads account, again, going to the planner, but it's built in now. This is just a little bit on how to use that profile and just give you some other things. So again, this will be emailed to you, so it'll help you when you're ready, whatever. But you can filter your results. You can do keyword text, average monthly searches. You can do, you know, by bid range. You can do low bid range, all sorts of different things, okay? So again, all this information is coming to you, so don't stress. Now, this is how you get the forecast and historical metrics that we talked about. So all of this is going to walk you through for whatever information you want to have. And just bear with me, Google tends to update their things every 5 minutes. So it should be close, but there may be a few little tweaks. Just kind of keep that in mind, okay? All right. Now, once you have an ad campaign running, we'll break down and see, like we talked about, Google runs on what's called a cost per click. And once your campaign is up and going, it's going to start giving you metrics on how it's performing. So you'll see how many clicks you've got versus how many impressions. So I'm going to explain to you guys like the clicks versus impressions so you understand. You're paying for the clicks, okay? Google, an impression is anytime your ad loads on a page. It doesn't mean that somebody saw it. It doesn't mean that somebody clicked on it. It just means it loaded on the page and that someone had the opportunity to see it. So if you've looked on Google, when your ads load or when your page loads, there's usually a set of ads at the top, and then you'll get some organic listings, and then there's usually another set of ads at the bottom. So it doesn't mean necessarily that someone saw it, because if it loads in the bottom set of ads, someone may not have scrolled down that far. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay. The clicks are people that actually clicked on your ad. So that's what you're paying for in Google. So it's going to tell me my average cost per click and then how much I've spent so far. Okay. And it scales it out for me each day based on the impressions to clicks. Okay. Now, once that's going and I can start to analyze what's happening in my account, I'm going to start getting some information. Okay. So these are my 2 different ad groups that I happen to have. So I've got a general one that's gym, and then I've got one that is specifically targeting my business name. I always recommend that you run a campaign that targets your personal business name, because I can't tell you how many times I would go in and help a client and I would Google them and they're not even bidding on their own name, but their competitors are. So their competitors' ads are pulling up when people Google me. And can you see how detrimental that could be if you're not bidding on your own name and at least having your own ad up there as well? Yeah. So always make sure you're bidding on your own name. Okay. But we're going to look at my gym one because that's where I've got some of my various keywords. Okay. So what this is going to tell me over here, some basic information here. You're going to see my top keywords and how they performed, but I can always go in and just scroll through the pages, or I can look at all of my keywords together. But I want to show you the way some of these are pulling up. So I got pulled up, and once I start analyzing the data, I can see which keywords I think are actually performing well and which are not, okay? So you'll see this dance workout in. You'll see, okay, that's great. I think I got 5 clicks on that. So that's like a really high one. However, my click-through rate is only 10%, okay? So what that means is the number of times my ad was shown, or those number of impressions, my ad only got clicked on 10% of the time when this was what was searched for, okay? And you'll see then, but if I look at this one that's in brackets, so again, this is screenshots from when I was targeting that competitor that closed. So I put in the brackets, so anyone that literally just searched for Pure Barre was in this bracket. You'll see I only got 3 clicks on that, but 100% of the people that typed that in clicked on my ad. So I was able to target my competitor, right? So that one is actually good. So then I can go through each of my keywords individually. Now the next couple of slides I'm going to show you is this keyword information. It basically keeps panning sideways, but it's really, you can't screenshot that whole thing. So I'm going to break it down and show you what information is there. So imagine we're still sliding this over, right? So you'll see these same keywords here. It tells you what campaign it's in, what ad group it's in, and then it's going to start giving me some information. So again, sliding sideways. You'll see I have set a max cost per click, what I'm willing to pay for things. It tells me it's approved and how many clicks it got. And then as I continue to scroll to the side, it gives me a little bit more information. So it'll give me my click-through rate, the average cost per click for that keyword term, so I know what most people are paying for it and how often I'm pulling up. Tells me if the cost is down or low. And then this conversions, if you are able to set up pixels on your website, it's going to start talking to your Google Ads campaign and tell you how many people converted and actually bought something off of your site or called you, or depending on what your tags are set up to track. This is going to start to, and I highly recommend setting up this. And this is another reason that it's beneficial to hire someone out to do this for you, because this takes a lot more involvement, okay? So just kind of keep that in mind. It's going to go through all of that for you. Now, let's talk about tips for building a keyword list. So like I had mentioned before, there's words, if they're highly searched, they're going to cost you more, right? Because it's a bidding war. So the more people that want those keywords, the more money they will cost you to win those bids. So in that instantaneous moment, so let's use the word Toyota, for example. If I'm a car dealership and I want to bid on the word Toyota, I think the last stats that I heard was it was costing $100 per click for the word Toyota, okay? So that's going to be a general keyword versus if I can narrow it down and be more specific, I'm going to pay less for those keywords. So we'll talk about that. So as you're starting to build a keyword list, I recommend just a straight up brainstorming session. Like just sit down at your computer or with a notepad and just like brainstorm things that people might search for that would be relevant to your business, okay? So we'll kind of look into that. So like it shows here, like if you sell men's athletic footwear, you might want to start off with some basic categories like men's sports shoes or men's sneakers, men's tennis shoes, right? And just brainstorm those kind of words. Once you have that, then you're going to go into building this list. So again, the more general that your words are, likely the more money that's going to cost you. Versus, let's say with like Utah real estate is probably going to cost me more than if I did like Pleasant Grove real estate or South Jordan real estate, right? So there's ways to get very fine-tuned with your key list that you can spend less money per click, which in turn means that you're probably going to be a little bit more niche, which is great, but your money is going to be more concentrated. You're going to be able to get more exposure because you're not spending as much money on those clicks. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay, cool. All right. Now, once you've got your keywords, everything set up, again, go through and then you're going to be thinking of different types of matches for each of those keywords. So that's when you're going to want to put in your broad match, your phrase matches, your exact matches, and your modifiers. All of those will go in there and you can put them in different ways. So this is going to show you here that breakdown. So like women's hats, right? So here's your broad match, here's your modifiers, and here's your phrase match and exact match. So this breaks it down and you want to make sure you cover your bases with all of these, okay? Now, let's talk a little bit about negative keywords. So this is your third keyword here for this. Haha, keyword and keyword. So I'm typing it into the chat right now. Keyword number 3, negative keywords. Okay. All right. So what happens is you start running an ad campaign and I'm going along, I can start to see what people searched for and where my ads pulled up, which is very beneficial to me. And as I'm looking through, I might notice things like you'll see this Goat Yoga Utah pulling up in the middle, right? Because of how I typed in my words, I'm getting some random things, or aerial yoga, right? Because I wasn't specific enough on my yoga. Bungee workout, right? So though you might get some weird outliers like that, like I don't offer goat yoga. I'm never going to offer goat yoga. So I don't want to pay when somebody clicks goat yoga, right? I paid for that and I don't care about paying for that. So you can do what's called a negative keyword. And that means you're going to go into your campaign and basically you're setting up the opposite so that if people type in certain things that you don't want your ads to pull up, right? So that's going to help you further fine tune your ad campaign so that you can be more applicable to your audience and what's happening, and you're not paying for bogus things that don't make sense. Yeah? Okay. So what we're going to do is work through a chart because now we have to think like reverse in our brain. So I've created a couple of charts for you that you can see that are going to help you understand how the negative keywords work, because it's kind of the opposite of the positive keywords. And hopefully this will help you figure out better targeting with your campaigns. So let's dive into this here. All right, so under the broad match search. So again, remember that means no quotation marks, nothing, right? So I've used this example of running shoes. So if I want negative keywords focused around running shoes and I put it in as a broad match, this is how it's going to show up. So because it has the word shoes in it, but without running, it will show, right? So if somebody typed in blue tennis shoes, my ad is going to show. If somebody types in running gear, my ad is going to show because the word shoes is not in there with it. But if somebody types in blue running shoes, my ad would not show because both words are there. If someone types in shoes running, again, because there's no quotations, nothing, they're not in the same order, that's okay, my ad would not show. And then obviously running shoes, my ad's not going to show. Okay, so that's of a broad match modifier. Okay, the next is the phrase match. So this is if I put quotation marks around the phrase, okay? So running shoes. So if somebody typed in blue tennis shoes, my ad would show because it's missing the running again. Same with running gear, it's missing shoes. So my ad would show. If they typed in blue running shoes, my ad would not show, okay? If they typed in shoes running, my ad would show because it's in the wrong order. And then running shoes together would not show, okay? So this is why it's important to make sure you cover all the bases with the different types of matches because there's so many little weird, odd tweaks. Okay, now if I have the exact match, which is with the brackets, my ad would show if they typed in blue tennis shoes. My ad would show if they typed in running gear, blue running shoes. Even though both words are there, because the blue is there, my ad would still show. And then shoes running, even though it's both words, they're not in the right order, my ad would still show. So the only time my ad would not show is if they exactly typed in running shoes. Okay, does that make sense for everybody? So if I was to try to eliminate that goat yoga Utah, I would probably want to do goat yoga a lot of different ways, but also the goat yoga Utah a lot of different ways, right? Like I gotta be able to maintain what I'm looking at, okay? Does that make sense to everybody? Any questions there? Okay, all right. Once you're past that, it's gonna start giving you information on like what landing pages that and how they perform. So if you have different ads running and they're landing on different pages, you can sort through that and see how those things are performing. It'll also break it down for you based on devices. You can see how it performed on mobile versus tablets versus computer. This is also why it is very beneficial for you to make sure your websites are mobile friendly. As you'll see, the numbers for mobile devices versus tablets and computers are continuing to eclipse the tablets and computers. So make sure that your sites are optimized and everything is set up for mobile correctly, okay? Does anybody have questions there? Nope? Okay. Then it's gonna start to break down for me my demographics. So for me, I obviously was targeting certain age group and certain gender. If you are marketing a listing, remember that you will not be able to target by a lot of these things because of the fair housing. So just make sure that you're being compliant with all of that. But this is going to break it down for you. You'll see, obviously I have 0 male here. That was intentional. I don't spend money advertising to males because females are about 95% of my business. So I'm not going to waste my money spending there. So that's gender for me. I had taken off the male, and here I had targeted to females. This was actually a pretty broad range, but my main target you'll see is this 35 to 44, which is great because that is my target demographic. The other thing that I love is you can break it down by the day and the hour and see when you're getting the most interaction with your ads. This is also helpful because if you don't want to take calls in the middle of the night, or at odd times of the day, you can actually set in and condense down the hours that your ads run. So it's possible, it's called day parting, but you can actually run your ads only during the hours you're open, or only during, maybe I get a really great response like between 3 and 6 p.m. and the rest of my day is a little bit less. You can actually condense your spend down to just those hours, and that will help you to really target your dollars, okay, which is really cool. Okay, let's see. Okay, does anybody have any questions on ads before we move into analytics?
Would it matter if you didn't put any on the demographics? What if you didn't put anything, but it just target everyone? I mean,
Yes, it's pretty much just going to target everyone. So
okay.
I would recommend at least you have to really be careful with ads, and you want to at least hone it in pretty tight demographically if you can at least get it into a county. And really, like, just think about who your normal targets are and who you're trying to get in front of. But you just county wise, at least is going to spread your dollars too thin. If I only have $50 to spend, let's just say, we're just using that example, but I'm advertising to the entire state of Utah, your ads are going to be too diluted to make a difference for you. So you've got to really make sure you're honing it in tight enough that you are not spending too little money and not getting any reach. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, you bet. So just kind of be aware of that. There's more analytics. Yes. Yeah, get ready. I know. All right. So analytics, let's kick into that. So this is separate from your ad analytics. Okay, so this is if you have a website, your own website, this is not your broker's website. So most brokers, and just because of the logistics of everything, if you have a website through your broker page, you're not going to have access to this, because it would be virtually impossible for a broker to give access to everyone's individual pages and all of that, right? Like, not going to happen. So this is if you have your own website, you can connect it through to Google, and it's going to start talking to Google and giving you a bunch of information about what's happening on your site, which is fantastic. But just keep in mind, again, you might be able to get some basic analytics from if you have a broker site, but you're not going to be able to get really in-depth things. So just, for whatever that's worth, keep that in mind. But I do want you to understand how the pages work and how to interact with them. So it's going to give you a lot of really great information. So you'll see, like, I can see my users the last 7 days. I can see how many sessions they had. I can see my bounce rate, which is hugely important. And if I'm running an ad, I like to be able to cross-check my website to make sure my bounce rate is not too high. Usually what makes a bounce rate jump is if you're running an ad and you're not directing them to a specific landing page and they're not getting the information they need right away, they're going to leave your site, and that makes it hard for you to rank well with Google. So you want to look for a low bounce rate, okay? So if I was to run an ad for a listing of a client, I'm not going to want to direct them to my homepage on my website. I want to direct them straight to that listing so they don't have to search for it. And then if they want, they can go and search other listings on my page. So you want to make sure that you set it up, because if you have a really high bounce rate, that tells Google that your web page is either irrelevant or invalid, or you're marketing to the wrong thing and people aren't getting the information they need, and that hurts you. So you want to make sure that bounce rate is low. The next thing I'm looking at is my time spent on site. So the longer that somebody spends on my website, the better. So if you're looking at here, my average session is 1 minute and 46 seconds. That's pretty good, right? So you've got to think how much time you're spending on a website, at least for a fitness page. That's pretty good. It varies depending on the industry, obviously, but you want to get your time on site up. So you're looking to keep those numbers. So bounce rate low, time on site up, right? Okay. Then this over here on the right, you'll see this screenshot I happened to take like in the middle of the night. So I obviously had no active users, but it's pretty cool. If somebody's on your website, it actually gives you a live snapshot of what's happening right at that minute. So you can see what pages people are on and kind of watch what they're doing on your site. It's totally fascinating for anybody that geeks out about that like I do. Then it's going to start telling you a bit of an overview here. So it's going to tell you how many users you had, like each of the days. It kind of breaks it down for you during that time, and you can see what days of the week you're performing better. It's going to give you a breakdown on your users, like how many users you had, how many were new, how many sessions they came in. It tells you number of sessions per user, how many total page views you had, and then number of pages per session, right? So the more that people are humming around on your website, the better. That helps you out. And then it breaks things down for you in little pie charts. It's great. Then it's going to give you some information on your demographics, which is awesome. It breaks it down for you based on, like, you can choose over here, you can choose to look at it by language. So if you happen to be a Spanish speaking realtor and you're trying to, you know, reach the Spanish speaking community, you can actually click into language and see how many of your users are Spanish speaking. You can break it down. Country's obviously going to be pretty big, but I have it broken down here to city, which is awesome. And you'll see it ranks it for me based on the cities. Salt Lake City, again, like all unincorporated stuff kind of ties into Salt Lake City, so that's a little misusing. But this happens to be, you'll see I had locations, Sandy and South Jordan are where my physical stores are. So I like to see that my users are in those areas and then surrounding areas. And apparently I have fans in Los Angeles. Who knew? But it breaks it down, and so you can see where your people are at that are coming to your site. Super, super helpful information. You can also, if you cared, you could look at browser type. So if you wanted to know who is using Firefox versus Chrome, you could look at that, whatever. You can do it based on operating system and even on mobile. So it's like really great info there. And then it's going to tell you, I love this site. Oh, Lisa said, do you have to add Google Analytics to your website, or will it just, no, you do have to add it. So you have to sync it up, and that is like usually the person that builds your website can help you do that. And yeah, so it doesn't automatically just happen. And I know that for some reason, like mine was having an issue with whoever built my site. For some reason, originally set it up so that it would only track that every time I updated WordPress, I had to go into WordPress and reconnect my analytics. So you may want to, depending on who your website is built with, you should just be able to go straight into the admin section of your website and connect it to Google Analytics there. Does that hopefully answer your question? Okay. Once you have that, let's see, this is going to track for you where you are getting, like your traffic is being sourced to your website. So, or you'll see it just kind of ranks it here. So organic search. So this is a good indication if your organic search is really healthy, that people are finding you on Google in random ways and coming to your website, which is great. Direct means they typed your name in, they already knew about you. You also want to have a pretty healthy social, because that means that people are going to your website from your social page, which is great. Referral is going to be outside sources, and same with others. So those are your biggest three, are going to be this organic, the direct, and social. Okay, and you just want to make sure those are tracking the way you want them to. Okay, now what this is going to break down is how my users are doing. This is going to vary depending on your website. For me, my pattern is typically once someone uses my website, we have booking software that it takes them straight in. So typically speaking, my website traffic drops off once I have a converted client, because they're just using our booking software and they don't need to go to our website anymore. So for me, this looks normal, right? Like I'm gonna see like these weeks it's really strong and then it slowly tapers off. People don't need my website anymore. You as realtors may see something similar, right? Like when people are first, like maybe they're looking for homes and so they're on your website a bunch, and then once they buy, they're not looking at your website anymore. So just kind of some information, and it depends on how your users are, but it'll tell me my monthly users, my weekly users, my daily users. So just kind of great information to kind of track that way. And then this is going to tell me when my users visit. So if I was to take this information and correlate it back to my ad campaign, I should be able to see, if I'm running an ad campaign, that my times of day that my users are on correlate with when my ads are running. So if I did any kind of day parting there, I'd want to see that. But also it's going to tell me when my strong days are. So I happen to already know, as we've talked about in the Instagram class, like Sundays, Mondays, Tuesdays are typically my strongest days, and then people filter out by the weekend because I'm a fitness studio. So that's normal for me, right? And I can just make sure that that's checking in correctly. This is going to tell me where my users are. It starts out by country, but you can actually hone it all the way down into pretty specific demographics. And then it'll tell me devices. And I always know mobiles, typically you're going to see mobile always like 75 to 85%. And then the others like tablets getting smaller and smaller, and desktops pretty small too. And then let's kick into what pages my users visit. So this is going to tell me here what my top pages are. So if I'm running an ad, I'd want to see that wherever I'm directing people from my ad is going to rank my top one. If you have your tag set up, it's going to start telling you how much revenue you're generating from those pages. But again, that requires somebody setting those up. But really great information. This is actually keyword number 4 is analytics. So I'm typing this in right now. Okay, so you've got now your 4 keywords. Okay, I think we covered all of that. Does anybody have questions on the analytics before we head into Google Trends? No? Okay. So Google Trends is, again, another one of those things that is one of those geek out moments for me. I love messing with Google Trends. So this is a great place that you can come to see like what kind of things are hot topics online right now. So again, if you're struggling with content, this is another tool you can get into to use for your sales materials, your website, your ad copy, your SEO, like all of that. I love Google Trends. It's so fun. So what happens is you can come in and search for different terms and topics, and it's going to rank them for you and tell you how popular they are in your area. You can look across the country and across the globe. It's so fun. So I've taken a couple screenshots here for you. I'm going to show you a few. So this one here, I just happened to type in, the first one you'll see on the left is Taylor Swift versus Kim Kardashian. And I just wanted to know like what the interest was in the past 7 days. And it's going to show me, apparently nobody cared about Taylor Swift during this time and everyone was on Kim K. So just some fun stuff. Interest in the region, like World Cup, I was able to see by country like how popular the World Cup searches were. Or even football versus American football, like looking versus in the US, right? Like there's so many different things that you can get in here and play with. So how it works is once I type in a topic, so you'll see I did home prices here. What it's going to do for me is rank how the searches have been for it. Whoops, I accidentally skipped ahead a slide. During a certain time period. So I like to look over a year because to me that's going to give me a pretty accurate vision of what's happening. I can also add in, you'll see this compare, I can add this plus sign here and compare it to another search point. So it's basically just like giving me a point scale on a graph. It's not representative of the quantity of searches, but how relative they are in popularity. So it like ranks it on 0 to 100. So you'll see, like, as the scale comes up in these numbers, it's a fairly high ranking, and, you know, with a few dips, but it's something fairly consistent. So if I add in this compare button and I do Utah real estate, you can see Utah real estate is obviously a more narrow term because I added Utah, but it's pretty consistent across the board. So I'm at least being consistent with those rankings. So if I'm like, okay, I may want to throw in the words in a post like Utah real estate, but I want to make sure that I'm really honing in on these home prices, right? Because that's a more used word. So I can pull these and help me figure out what's trending for when I write blog posts or whatever, and I'm doing my SEO. These are going to help me find terms that are relative to what I'm looking at, okay? And then it's going to help you break it down by subregion. So if I wanted to look specifically and narrow it down to Utah, whatever, I can click in and see how it ranks. So with those search terms, you'll see like New Mexico ranks at 100 versus Nevada's at 80, Connecticut's at 70, 78, right? Like I can see specifically to Utah, which is great. so I can check that out. Then it's going to give you some other related topics to kind of help you. So you could come and see like, okay, well, you typed in this, but this is kind of a trending one and it's up 500%. You know, obviously this is irrelevant because we're not in Alabama, but like just gives you some other things. So this is a great thing to come in and say like, what words can I pull that are trending, that are keywords that I can use in my blog posts and that I can tag in my metadata for my SEO and really boost up the traction on my website, which is great. Okay, that was it. We made it all the way through. What questions do we have? Nothing? Everyone feels like they drank out of a fire hose or they want to take a nap. Which one?
I have a quick question just in
Okay.
relation to what you just talked about
Okay.
with the keywords. When you're creating a blog or whatever, and you're throwing in some of those keywords, do you have to identify that you're using those keywords in order for them to be pull up
Yes.
on a search?
Yes, you do. So, so when you go in so again, this is why it's great to be able to have your own website because you can control a lot of these things. So you should, and again, there's always companies that you can hire to do this for you, but you'll want to go in when you write a blog post, you should have some sort of plugin on your website that you can use for SEO. I use Yoast on mine. I'm trying to think how you spell Yoast. It might be YEOSTYOAST. It's a little bit different, but it's an actual plugin, and then it pulls up at the bottom of your post. You should see like where you can optimize your metadata and your tags, and that's where you'd want to go in and put those keywords in so that you can optimize based on those keywords. And back to that Google Trends, if you see something like, let's say fidget spinners, right? I mean, we all remember the rage that fidget spinners were like 2 years ago, or I don't even know how long ago it was. If I was to go in and type in fidget spinners, it's probably you want to avoid things that show you like a spike and a drop. Because if something's trending upwards, that's great because it's like a hot topic. So that would be something great to write about. But if it's on the downward, like think about how many people now would Google fidget spinners. Not that you as realtors are going to Google fidget spinners or even write about them, but just to give you an example, because that's something like we all know that had a huge spike or drop. So just kind of keep that in mind. And then you will want to go in and analyze. Lisa said, if you use a pre-written blog, do you use words from the blog or create your own from Google Trends? So if you have a pre-written blog, likely they have pulled some sort of keywords, but you'd want to pull things, because one of the things that it's going to look for good keywords is how many times within that post that those keywords were used. And so you want to be able to pull things that are in the blog to use as your keywords. Does that make sense, Lisa? Hopefully. Okay. What else? Did that answer your question also, Donnelly?
Yeah, so using keywords multiple times, the same keyword multiple times in your blog is more beneficial, it sounds like.
Yes. Let me get into this. I'm going to log into my own website really fast and show you, because we talked about that post from Pure Bar that I had done when they closed a couple of years ago. I did a blog post the same way, and this should hopefully help. Let me get in here. And I can show you the data on this one too. I might have turned off some of the data because it's old and I don't need to track it anymore, but let me see. Okay. Okay, stop. Here we go. Sorry, it's taking a second to navigate over there. Okay, so here's what I wrote. So you'll see this, like, you'll see I use the words Pure Bar and Pure Bar Draper like a bunch of times. So I use it up here in the title. I use it right here in the first sentence. I use it right here. I mean, like as many times as I can, because that was one of the words that I was trying to get to pull up in my keyword. I don't think that this is an updated post anymore, but you can see down here, yeah, I turned everything off. So you'll see like my SEO ranks medium and my readability is down. But the SEO, this is where after your post, you can actually come in, you can add related key phrases, and you can change like your snippets and all of those things so that whatever those keywords are, you are targeting in on that very specific phrase or words. Does that make sense?
Mhm. Yes, thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, cool.
So when you turn that off though, you stop paying for it, is that correct?
No, that's, so you don't ever pay for that. So I do my own SEO on mine, but like if you were paying another company, then yes, you would. But once it's built into your website, they've been closed for 2 years, so I don't need to target, like people aren't going to be searching for that anymore. So I just kind of went in and turned it off. I think I actually just deactivated the whole page, which is why I had to go into my back end to show it to you. So
I thought you do pay for keywords though.
in an ad campaign. So on SEO is different.
Okay.
So when you go to Google, you'll notice when you type something in, you're going to see your top section has ads, and then you hit your organic section, right, where it's not ads. That SEO is how you pull up in that organic section, so that based on what you put on your website, you're trying to pull up organically, and you don't pay for that unless you hire it out. You can, that's what I was just showing, you can do it on your own.
Right. Okay.
But it takes time to build that up. So ads are beneficial in the meantime. It's great to have both because you want to pay for your ads and be at the top of the list while you're working on your organic stuff, because that takes time.
That makes sense.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Okay, what else do we have? Any other questions? Did everyone get the link at the beginning of the feed for the form to get your CE credit? Do you want me to put that back in? One more time? Here, let me get in and I will. It's being weird. I'll stop share for a second. It's making me get out for a minute. Okay, let me get in here. I'm gonna copy, it might be a slightly different one because I'm shortening the URL, so it makes it different, but either one is gonna work. Thank you, Kim, she sent hers in. Okay, so this is the Google form again. The other thing I'm gonna put in this link again is the link to book with me. If you want help with some of the stuff like your Google My Business page, if you need help getting in with that, whatever that looks like, I'm happy to help you. That's my booking link. So you can book some time with me. And I think that's it, guys. Any other questions? We only went 1 minute past 12. I'm impressed with us. Okay. Amy said, thank you, question. Just kidding. Then she said, she changed. I'm like, thank you. You're welcome. You guys are very welcome. I think that was it. And again, like I said, as I'll give you guys some time, I'll try to get the roster put in tomorrow morning. So if you can get it filled out today and make sure that your emails are in there, and I will, as soon as I get the roster done and that uploaded, I will email out the slides so that you've got those. So those won't come immediately, but I'll give you time to fill out the roster. And yeah, again, I'm here if you have any questions or if there's anything you need help with. Okay. Awesome, awesome. You guys are amazing. You're now free to go, excused.